Hotep, this is Dr. Baba Mukasa Africa Mayat. I would like to welcome you to the Sankofa Freedom Management Team and Anna Julia Cooper Center for Human Excellence, Communiversity in African-Centered Leadership to the cohort. Welcome. At the request of Mama Dana King, I've been asked to perform the libations for today. Permission has been granted in advance by our esteemed elder, Dr. Mama Aisha Imani, and now we will begin the libations. Ashe. We first pour libations to the gift of life, love, and learning, and we say Ashe. We pour libations to our ancestors who marched out of Africa approximately 100,000 to 150,000, some say 200,000 years ago, to populate the earth, and we say Ashe. We pour libations to those ancestors who gifted humanity with deep thought, and we say Ashe. We pour libations to those ancestors who gifted humanity with the cosmos, with cosmology, with understanding the universe, with understanding the stars. We pour libations, and we say Ashe. We pour libations to the earth, we pour libations to the wind, we pour libations to the air, we pour libations to the fire, and we ask that humanity takes care of the earth. We pour libations, and we say Ashe. We pour libations to the great civilizations, kingdoms, and empires of mighty Africa. Ashe, Ashe, Ashe. To the nation of mighty Kemet, also known as Tawi, the two lands, we pour libations, and we say Ashe. To the nation that left monuments and temples and tombs and the Medu Neter, we pour libations, and we say Ashe. To the Pharaoh Seti the first, who taught his son Prince Ramesu that he descended from great kings of the past. Also to the people of Kemet, they were taught that they descended from the sun Ra. We pour libations to the nation of Kemet, and we say Ashe. To the Grand Master Teacher Ivan Van Sertima, Ashe, who taught us about the Dogon of Mali, Ashe. This is a nation of people who were astronomically, cosmologically, scientifically advanced about the star system of Sirius. To the Dogon of Mali, we say Ashe.
They found astronomy among the Dogon in medieval Mali, the empire from which most of us come, Mali and Songhai. They found the Dogon, a people in medieval Mali, plotting the movement of an invisible star, a star utterly impossible to see with the naked eye. The Africans not only saw it, they plotted its orbit and trajectory up to the year 1990. NASA discovered it's dead correct. The Africans said that it not only had a 50-year elliptical orbit around its parent star Sirius A, but an orbit of 1 year on its own axis. They said there was something flashing and darkening, contracting and expanding within the region of this invisible star Sirius B. The Einstein orbiting satellite, a spaceship 2 years ago, discovered the Africans were dead correct. There is a dwarf nova flashing and darkening within the region of Sirius B. You know how people dealt with that? At Massachusetts Institute of Technology, Kenneth Brecher wrote an article saying the Africans have no business knowing any of this. And this pretty clown, what's his name, who gets up on Cosmos, Carl Sagan. Sagan said that probably some scientifically literate European wandered among the African savages and gave them this sophisticated knowledge of the stars in return for their fairy stories, so that when the anthropologists came and visited them, they merely regurgitated it. Griol and Dieterlen spent 16 years among the Dogon before the Dogon elders even began to talk about that part of the sky. A long time to vomit that up. And they talked about things that nobody at that time knew about. Even today, we do not know it's a 1 year orbit on its own axis. We haven't found that one out yet.
Author of Blacks in Science, Ancient and Modern, and many other works. To Dr. Ivan Van Sertima, we pour libations and we say Ashe. To the nation of the Congo, who gave the world the wisdom of their cosmogram, we pour libations and we say Ashe. It is they who taught us that life was like a circle in the heavens, Ashe. The Congo cosmogram taught that the spiritual and the physical world were separated by both a door and a wall. You can block your blessings or you could walk straight to them, Ashe. They taught that just as the sun and the cosmos went through the cycles of life, death, afterlife, and rebirth, so too did the soul of humanity also go through the cycles of life, death, afterlife, and rebirth. Ashe. Ashe. And then came the great Ma'afa of enslavement. And what happened to our ancestors? Did we lose the great cosmologies passed down from thousands of years? Or did we retain them? Ashe. Our ancestors prayed to the deities of the cosmologies of their ancestors as they struck out for freedom while enchained on slave ships, enchained in dungeons. They rerouted ships, they burned ships, they sank ships. Ashe. Ashe. In the African kingdom of Palmares, in Brazil, under the inspiration of the deities of their ancestors in Candomblé, the Africans under the leadership of Gangazumbi dos Palmares and Dandara dos Palmares, they prayed for freedom and they fought for freedom in extended wars. Ashe. In 1812 in Cuba, Jose Antonio Opante, who was of Yoruba origin, led a massive war against the slavocracy of Cuba with 400 or more Africano-Cubanos by his side. Many of them were members of the Akboni Society. They were worshippers of the Shango priesthood and the Lukumi faith. 2. Those that fought against slavery in 1812 in Cuba under the leadership of Apante, we pour libations and we say Ashe. African cosmologies and African spirituality was not lost in the islands of Jamaica. To Queen Nanny, Ashe, we pour libations. She was an Obeah priestess. To Queen Nanny and to the Windward Maroons under her leadership who founded Nanny Town in Jamaica, we pour libations and we say Ashe. And to Marcos Quioro and the Africano Boricuas in Puerto Rico who fought against slavery, the Bozales, we pour libations and we say Ashe. African cosmologies and spirituality were a part of the Haitian Revolutionary War for Independence, and those who were the predecessors to the war, to Makandal Ashe and Boukman Ashe, both who were Vodun priests. They led up to the Haitian Revolutionary War, and to Jean-Jacques Dessalines and Toussaint Louverture, leaders of the Haitian Revolutionary War, we pour libations and we say Ashe. Charles Deslanders, Nat Turner, and the many other named and unnamed who led revolts against slavery in the United States, we pour libations and we say Ashe. To Queen Mother Harriet Tubman, to Sojourner Truth, and those who were part of the abolitionist movement in the United States, those named and unnamed, we pour libations and we say Ashe. To those who continued the freedom struggle after slavery, we pour libations and we say Ashe to those named and unnamed, known and unknown. To Ella Baker of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, we pour libations, Ashe. To Septima Poinsett Clark, we pour libations and we say Ashe. To El Haj Malik El Shabazz, Malcolm X, to the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, we pour libations and we say Ashe. And to Congressman John Robert Lewis, our recent ancestor, let us give a special tribute.
Church. It was a silent walk, about 600 of us. No one saying a word. We were walking on the sidewalk. I was walking with Jose William from Dr. King's organization. We get to the edge of the bridge. Jose Williams said, "John, can you swim?" I said, no. And I said, well, there's too much water there. We're not going to jump. We're going ahead. And we continued to walk. We came to the highest point on this bridge. Down below, we saw a sea of blue, Alabama State Troopers.
And at that point, were you afraid for your life, or was it just sort of something that said, keep going, this is about history?
We had to keep going. I thought we were going to be arrested and that we were going to go to jail, and I was prepared to go to jail.
Lewis's and the marchers' fate would be far worse than jail. The Alabama State Troopers unleashed a brutal attack. These images, broadcast around the world, awakened the nation's conscience.
Let's talk about the beating. You nearly lost your life on this bridge. Why do you think God spared your life? Why do you think you were left behind and we lost so many civil rights leaders?
I feel blessed that I didn't die on this bridge. I thought I was going to die. I thought I saw death. I said to myself, I'm going to die on this bridge.
But do you still think, why me? Why did I get a chance to live so long and, make it to Congress in Washington, D.C., and just make it to this whole level?
Yeah, I said to myself, and I often think about it, I think about the individuals that I worked with, marched with. I often think about Dr. King and Robert Kennedy and others that are going on, and said that I have an obligation to continue to do what I can to help, because I'm here to continue to tell the story.
John Lewis, who has spent almost 3 decades in Congress, was just 25 years old.
I can never forget what it felt like to be on this bridge on Bloody Sunday. We came to the highest point. Down below, we saw a sea of blue, Alabama State Troopers. And behind the state troopers, we saw men on horseback. So when we got within hearing distance of the state troopers,
you are ordered to disperse, go home, or go to your church.
And the major said, troopers advance. I thought over and over again, they're going to arrest us. They came toward us, beating us with nightsticks, trampling us with horses. I went down on my knees. My legs went out from under me. I thought I was going to die.
He was carried back to the church where the march had begun. It was there he issued a challenge to President Lyndon Johnson.
I stood up and said, I don't understand it. How President Johnson can send troops to Vietnam, but cannot send troops to Selma, Alabama to protect people who only desires to register to vote.
After Bloody Sunday, President Johnson spoke before Congress.
It is wrong, deadly wrong, to deny any of your fellow Americans the right to vote in this country.
President Johnson federalized the Alabama National Guard, called out part of the United States military to protect us all the way from Selma to Montgomery.
On August 6th, President Johnson signed the landmark Voting Rights Act, ensuring that all citizens could vote regardless of their color. It was Bloody Sunday that helped make that day possible. It's also why Lewis returns to this bridge every year.
The vote is powerful. It is the most powerful nonviolent tool we have in a democratic society. And I don't want people to forget that people pay the price.
Athena Jones, CNN, Selma, Alabama.
2. Congressman John Robert Lewis, who calls good trouble. May he rest in peace. Ashe. And finally, two warrior women. We want to give an affirmation to Mama Dana King, the facilitator behind the community. We pour affirmation and we say Ashe. And to our elder, teacher, and mentor, Dr. Mama Aisha Imani, we pour affirmation, executive director of Imhotep Institute Charter High School, founder and leader of Sankofa Freedom Academy Charter School. We pour affirmation and we say Ashe. We ask that this libation is understood as a cultural and educational practice of African-centered schools. We ask that this libation is welcomed and is considered non-offensive. Ashe, Ashe, Ashe.
We march today for jobs and freedom, but we have nothing to be proud of. But hundreds and thousands of our brothers are not here, for they're receiving starvation wages or no wages at all. Those who have said be patient and wait, we must say that we cannot be patient. We do not want our freedom gradually, but we want to be free now. The time will come when we will not confine our marching to Washington. We will march through the South, through the streets of Jackson, through the streets of Danville, through the streets of Cambridge, through the streets of Birmingham. We must say, wake up, America, wake up, for we cannot stop, and we will not and cannot be patient.